What's going on, everyone? Captain Spicy Pants here. We have some interesting news coming from Cryptic Studios today. Looks like we have a June Watchlist update. Damn it, Bob.
What now?
Nothing. I'm sorry. Hey, that's coming out of your paycheck. Okay, let's get into this. All right, first up, we're going to talk about some items that are removed from the previous watch list, which this is good news. We're going to start off with the prototype phaser Hexa cannons.
Yeah, so these are still a very high-performing item in a lot of players' hands. Not 100% of situations. Like you can equip yourself with different experimental weapons and be comparable, competitive, or even outperform the prototype Hexa phaser cannons. They're still very high performers, though. This is also kind of the start of a larger conversation on experimental weapons in general. As far as this specific example is concerned, like, we're okay with where it's at. We're monitoring the rest of our performance of experimental weapons, and for the time being, there are no targeted tuning to this specific item that is going to come down the pike, and so we're just removing it from our watch list.
Next up, rejoice, Captains. Your Boimler effect and unconventional systems are also being removed from the watch list. This is great. We were hoping this was going to be the case, so far we're in it for good news.
It's a single thing that does this whole separate playstyle about it anymore. The long-term goal here is just release more options.
Yep.
Release more ways to support and itemize the space that we right now feel uncomfortable with the fact that it's hinging on these singular items. And so we've already done some of that. We're just going to continue to do it. It's nothing that needs to be a watch list item at this point.
Next up, we have the Fleet Power Network Array Universal Console, which, hey, I'm happy for. Let's see what they have to say about it.
Yeah, this one's a little trickier because honestly it is still an overperformer, but what it boils down to is that the areas where this console overperforms are when you're playing in a well-coordinated group of your friends. So maybe that's fine. I think I'm okay with that for now. I think that there should be some sort of reward. I think I even said this in the text. Like, players should be rewarded for playing in coordinated teams. That's cool. It's an MMO. Go play with your friends.
And lastly, we have the Rapid Lithic Formation Universal Kit module, which I intentionally left out of my top tier Universal Ground Kit modules because it was initially on the watch list and we were uncertain of its future, but now we can see exactly what's happening with it. So take it away, Jeremy.
This one is actually in process. This one is the one item that is being removed because it got a tuning pass. And I guess I'll go ahead and use the N-word.
What did he say?
Did get nerfed a little bit. But what I found, at least from the analysis that I was able to do, as well as picking up some like DPS blogs from folks in the community and such, was that it wasn't actually quite as egregious as we originally thought it was. It is very effective, and one of the reasons for that is that it also has a long cooldown. Okay, so just to give you a quick bullet point, not going into specific values, but its damage did get reduced. Its range got reduced. It was a little too snipery. So it's just you can't use it quite so far away, and it did get a minimum cooldown applied to it of 20 seconds. As I said, it has a base cooldown of 60 seconds.
So it does look like it will be receiving a minor nerf to it, and we will see those changes in the next content update. As per the watch list, we've been told that we are going to see some underperformers and research in progress additions, and here we go with console Plasmonic Leech. This is interesting. Let's see what they have to say about this.
But this one in particular is kind of a rough subject. It's kind of a standout. You know, if you ask people that have been playing the game for a long time about some of the most famous nerfs, Plasmonic Leech is number one with a bullet. Number two is the embassy consoles, the plasma explosion embassy consoles, which might end up on a future iteration of the watch list. We'll see. But so this is something that, and I will also admit, this was my doing. I did this. I made the original Plasmonic Leech debuff, the original tuning pass that resulted in this one in particular dropping from S tier to F tier. And so this is both a way to show you guys as players that we're open to the ideas. We understand that the community sentiment on certain aspects of tuning.
Well, that's good to hear, and I think that's a big W on your part, Jeremy. Good job. Our next two underperforming things that I'm just absolutely over the moon for are definitely science related, and that's subsystem targeting and secondary deflectors, specifically non-deteriorating types. We will cover more of this, but for those of you who are a part of this channel or have been a part of this channel, know that I very much love science. So seeing that we're going to get some science love here, well, let's see what they say about this.
The broad reason that subsystem targeting has ended up on this is twofold. One is that it really cannot compete with things like fire at will, cannon scatter volley, surgical strikes in that weapon combo space, right? And even by its core design, it's just incapable of doing so. If we want the subsystem targeting powers to do what they do, which admittedly, I think they actually do pretty well in that space. The problem is they don't do it well enough that you don't want to use fire at will, right? You can't really choose between those two. And that job that these things do okay is probably less impactful to the gameplay than just killing the thing with cannon scatter volley. So the main thing that I want us to look into and set aside some time to research is whether or not these can be removed from combos and turned into something more like suppression barrage, where they are a power that you can activate that attaches to your weapons but doesn't override firing modes. So, and this kind of ties into what I was just saying, like if there's things that can make science vessels as a whole feel a little more compelling, a little more interesting, a little more fleshed out in terms of build options and everything, let's do it. So the common feedback that we got from a lot of players on this was that anything other than deteriorating secondary reflectors is basically not worth considering. Deteriorating seemed to be, by and large, the only one that is considered to be doing a worthwhile job. So anytime we introduce like a new space set that doesn't use a deteriorating type secondary deflector, or anytime we try to put a special type in a reputation or a fleet holding or anything like that, if it's not deteriorating, nobody cares.
Well, thanks, Jeremy. You have officially delayed my upcoming science video, but that's okay. I'm happy with it. When you introduce more changes to make science more approachable, I think I can hold off on that one. Let's move forward. Moving on to something that many players have been asking for is bridge officer variety. That means non-SROs, watchers, and vanguards. Hey, they're looking at what they can do for your bridge officers to make them more or less on par with the other ones. So let's see what they have to say.
People understand why they want these high-performing bridge officers, like the Romulan operative space trait. There's not a lot out there that can compete with it. Increasing your crit chance for everything that you do in space just by slotting a bridge officer or 3, that's awesome, right? But it also means that since there's nothing that competes in that space, then your entire crew is always just filled with the same superior Romulan operative duty officers. Going on our watch list is probably for the sake of, kind of like we were doing with Boimler and Uncon, right? This is a singular type of bridge officers that is having an over exaggerated impact on the game, but we don't want to remove those options or nerf them or anything like that. Our goal here needs to be finding ways to offer more of the fiction, more of the fantasy, and more of the build options that are currently absent in this space. And that might just mean like offering a new Romulan officer that has better costume options, honestly. Like that might be a short-term addition in that space. But it also might mean something completely different, like learning how to make bridge officers with ground traits that are for some reason more desirable, that makes you want to have them on your bridge crew for some reason.
While I do like the idea of having customizable bridge officers, I still hope that you guys will address bridging that gap with the space officers. And yes, having the ground bridge officers is nice, but we'll see what happens. This is still early. And for those of you who are holding on to Lobi or just attempting to get Lobi for items in the Lobi store, well, guess what? It's going to be looked at. We're not sure what the pricing and stuff is going to be, but, you know, once again, go ahead and let us know what's happening with the Lobi here.
This is a tough one. I was pretty hesitant to put this on the list, if I'm being honest. But it is, when we added Lobi to the event campaign, the first time around, it was a choice of the rewards that you could get. And what we found is that nobody was choosing it. And at the time, I remember conversations were going about like, why aren't they choosing the Lobi? They can buy a ship with it. They can buy a ship and a piece of gear with it. It's pretty good. It's pretty good value. And so we kind of have a situation on our hands now, and some players have rightfully pointed this out, that the value of Lobi, the perceived value of Lobi, is a lot lower now than it was even 5 years ago, and much lower than it was like 10 years ago. We're going to continue doing like regular updates as much as we can manage. In fact, there's spoilers, but new items will be coming to the Lobi store with the next big content update. So there will be a few new things that you can spend Lobi on. We are aware of the economic need to keep expanding that space, that prize space.
Well, that's good. Looks like we have some potential updates for our Lobi, or Lobi, however you want to call it. The rest of the items on the list are still left over from the previous Watchlist update, which is in the video in the description below, and they did not cover it on stream, so I guess we're still up to speculation on that much. Well, that's going to do it for us today here at the Federation Space News Network. I am Captain Spicy Pants, and I'll see you on the frontiers.